So, very noisy, mashallah, up there. Very busy.
Turn it up a little bit. Turn it down.
Little louder?
Yeah.
Like this? Even louder? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. All right. So, subhanAllah, Allah mentions victory in Quran in a few places, in a few spots. In some of them, he's talking about the battles that the Prophet ﷺ went through. And the ayahs end in a way where he says, وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَكِيمِ in Surah Al-Imran, and in Surah Al-Anfal, مَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمِ. Which means victory is going to come from Allah, only comes from Allah. He's the Almighty and He's the All-Wise. And Allah teaches this in the history of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. He teaches us that for victory you need two things. You need to really believe that victory is coming from Him, and you really need to be well prepared. Do everything you can, exhaust everything that you can. Only then Allah will send you help and give you the victory. So if we scan through different ghazawat, let's say Badr. In Badr there was 300 Muslims against 1,000 disbelievers. Allah sent down 3,000 angels. One angel is good enough to flip the whole earth, but He sent 3,000 angels. And Allah explains, we only did it just to give you the confidence and give you the tranquility that Allah is behind you and Allah is going to support you. And it's true that these angels were seen. I mean, some of these disbelievers seen people that they've never seen before. These were real fighters, real people fighting with the Prophet and the Sahaba. Alhamdulillah, Allah gave the Muslims victory in Badr, 300 against 1,000. And then the next ghazwa, so this is Badr. Next ghazwa is Uhud, where Muslims were about 1,000 people. They lost 300. Hypocrites pulled out 300 of them. So they were left with 700 fighters against 3,000 disbelievers. And then what happened in Uhud? They won, alhamdulillah. No? Did they win? Anybody? They lost. So they initially won the beginning of the war, and towards the end, the archers who were supposed to protect the back of the army, they moved. They went down to collect spoils, and they lost because of that. So Prophet ﷺ told these archers, you stay in your spot, you don't move. Even if you see us being snatched by birds, being defeated, do not move from your spot. They disobeyed a direct order from the leader of this army. In a typical army, these guys will be prosecuted, court-martialed, and executed, right? It's a treason, right? We don't even know who these people are. Prophet ﷺ did not even reprimand them. We don't even know who they are because Muslims are not supposed to have this animosity towards anybody. So, Uhud, Muslims have lost. They were not given that victory against their enemy. And then in Al-Khandaq, the next one, the Muslims were around 3,000. They dug a trench around the Medina, and they were waiting for the disbelievers to come. 10,000, an army of 10,000. It's a no-brainer. They will win. No, they will not. Who won at the end? How did the Muslim win? Was there any fight? Did they actually fight? They never fought. But the Muslims were so desperate towards the end. They were surrounded by the disbelievers, and they did everything that they can. They even used different tactics that Arabs were not familiar with. But at the end of the day, how did they win? Allah sent them another soldier of His. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. Only Allah knows His own soldiers. And this soldier was a wind that uprooted their tents, flipped their pots. It was like a tornado. It really wiped them out and they pushed them away. They used some other tactics like espionage and stuff. But the issue is Allah sent them the victory. Allah made them victorious against their enemy in this case. And then comes Fath Makkah, and then the last one was Ghazwat Hunayn. So in Hunayn, before they started the fight, there was about 12,000 of Muslims against the rest of the Arabs. That was right after Mecca, after they conquered Mecca. 12,000 against 20,000. And the Muslims were like, we've never been that big before. We will never lose today because we are so many. There's no way we could lose today. And Allah reveals the Quran and He says, وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا. And the day of Hunayn, where you thought that your power and your count is what's giving you victory. And what happened? Did they win or did they lose? They lost at the beginning, right? To the point that the whole army was dispersed. All the Sahaba, everybody was dispersed. Until the Prophet ﷺ started walking and calling them by name back with Sayyidina Abu Bakr, and they gathered the army again and they won, and Allah even gave them some angels. So that establishes what Allah is teaching us. You will only win if you prepare very well and you rely on Allah solely for victory. Now, the victory does not mean you're going to win against anybody. Your victory is going to be against your enemy. In the Battle of Badr, if you think of it, the enemy was the mushrikeen. This was an existential threat. If they had won, they would have wiped all the Muslims. There would be no Islam, right? In Uhud, the real enemy was not the disbelievers. The real enemy was disobedience to the Prophet ﷺ. Greed, hubbud dunya, loving this life, going after spoils. This was the real enemy that Allah wanted to defeat and teach the Muslims a lesson. 70 of the top Sahaba were killed. Prophet ﷺ was almost killed. He was severely injured. But that was a very tough lesson for the Muslims to obey Allah and obey His Prophet. In Hunayn was the same thing. They did not get the victory against the enemy, the disbelievers. They got victory against their own pride, their own arrogance, their own belief that, oh, I got the power, I'm going to win. You will only win if you do these two. Now, if you look at some of the threats that we have today and what happens in Gaza, people in Gaza did everything they can, despite the blockade, despite everything. They did everything they could. They prepared everything they could from that standpoint. And what we're seeing today, wallahi, it is a victory. Because the enemy today is not an army. The enemy today is a narrative, is the media. Today, the media is portraying the story in completely the opposite. Oh, these are the victims. Oh, these are the bad guys. These are good guys. But the people in Gaza stepped fast, and they gave hundreds of thousands of martyrs and injured people. And the tide is shifting. When you see that in Spain, you could see demonstrations. Well, let's start with US. Demonstrations and encampments. Young people, that's the biggest difference. Young people are seeing the truth. They're not subscribing anymore to the narrative or the false narrative of the Zionist narrative, right? But you go to Spain, you see demonstrations. You go to UK, you go to France, you go to Italy. They had a whole strike this Monday for Gaza, saying we're not going to support a government that supports genocide. We will stop all the shipping from all the ports. They even there is 50 ships, the global Sumud flotilla, 50 ships with very prominent parliament members, actors, influencers, the son of Mandela, a lot of big names on these flotillas trying to break the siege on Gaza. I think last weekend, there was a huge event in Wimbledon, in the heart of London, a big concert where hundreds of thousands of people gathered. They collected around $2 million of donations to Gaza. A lot of prominent names spoke, soccer players, actors, and so on. When you change the narrative, this is victory. And this was crowned with what happened a couple of days ago when they recognized Palestine as a sovereign state. If this is not victory, I don't know what is. If this is not a step towards victory, I don't know what is. Now, we watch all this happen and we watch everybody supporting Palestine and supporting Gaza. What are we doing as individuals? You can do a lot of things, starting from voting, campaigning, advertising, talking about it, even wearing a simple shirt with a simple kufiya, telling people the story. I got compliments on this shirt from the back and from the front for the story that it tells. Spread the word, talk to people, get engaged. We're going to have a civic committee within our masjid, inshallah, to engage on these things. We managed to elect a mayor that is friendly to us versus another one that was a pure Zionist. This is the power of this community. If we get together, we can change things. And may Allah give us the patience, the knowledge, the understanding to do the minimum that we can and the best that we can to support our brothers and sisters in Gaza, inshallah. May Allah give them the victory. May Allah give them the patience. May Allah accept their martyrs and treat their patience and give them the steadfastness that they taught us all. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.